you ever struggle to make a connection with your children? Or maybe you have had that connection with your children and you feel like it's starting to slip away. Well, I've got a story for you. Today we're going to cover how I had that connection and I saw it slipping away, and a simple TV show helped recover that connection. I'm Greg, and welcome to Wrenching and Regrets. I'm not a professional parenting counselor. I'm 50 years old, have a total of 10 children, been through 3 divorces, 3 failed marriages, which led to 4 lost opportunities to be the parent that I should have been. I watched my 5th born child pass away in a hospital at 6 days old. I'm currently in an 18-year relationship that's resulted in a 10-year marriage. We're currently raising 4 beautiful girls and a son. You see, I've made the mistakes, so you don't have to. Moving on. My oldest daughter. Well, our oldest daughter, not my oldest daughter. Our oldest daughter. Kind of always been a daddy's girl. At a very young age. I mean, she was just barely big enough to put enough power behind a hammer to drive a nail. She helped me convert a chicken coop into a dog shed. And then we built a fully enclosed kennel run around it. Later on, I tried to start a construction business. She was right there with me on the job site as often as she could be, acting as our nail girl. Always available. Always had a handful and a bag full of nails or screws or whatever fastener we were using at the time. Constantly asking the guys if they needed more. Even going so far as climb halfway up a 20-foot wall to get to them. Later on, I got into building custom bicycles, something I used to do as a kid. And she asked me what all I could do. So I gave her a pencil and a piece of paper, and I drew out a basic bicycle frame for her. And I handed her that pencil and that paper, because she had a little bit of artistic talent. She's actually getting really good at it. I said, you draw it and we'll make it happen. And she drew up this kind of chopper-looking bike with an extra large wheel on the back of it, and the chopper forks on the front, and the big ape hanger handlebars. And so I went out and I dug in my salvage pile, and I found a 20-inch girl's bicycle frame. And then I found a 26-inch 10-speed frame, because she wanted a big wheel on the back of it. And I cut that 26-inch frame up, and I made a rear end that would mount to the 20-inch frame. We mounted it on there, and we got that big 26-inch wheel on it. We put the ape hanger handlebars on there. They didn't go quite as big as she drew them, because I knew she wouldn't be able to reach them. But they gave her a pretty good chopper sitting position. And we put a real motorcycle seat on it. We used an old aluminum crutch for a sissy bar. And like I said, she wanted those chopper forks, but as we put it together, we realized that if we did the chopper forks, not only would she not be able to turn corners with it, but it would just be absolutely unrideable. She wouldn't be able to turn the pedals without scraping on the ground. And she loved that bike. The bike's still sitting out behind our house right now. Soon after that, I went into welding school. And I was learning how to stick weld. And I'd got me a practice table, and I had me a small welder at home and some sticks, and I was practicing at home. Before I knew it, I was buying her own welding rig and teaching her how to weld. I did a demolition job for a contractor here in town, a landlord here in town. She was right there with me, hacking and choking and trying to breathe through the moldy, possibly asbestos insulation that we were dealing with. Yes, we had masks and eye protection. And we got that job done. She helped me rebuild a roof on a barn, storage barn. And my buddy, he's not one to get off the ground. But my daughter, it was like she was born to do it. She worked circles around me and him, and I was the one that knew what we were doing. But we fast forward to now she's a teenager. She just turned 16. And as with all teenagers, that bond starts to fade. And without even realizing what was about to occur, I started watching a TV show called that. I'm not going to say what it was called yet. I started watching a TV show that she had previously been interested in when it was actually still in syndication, I guess you would say. And we got to talking about the music. That was how it started. We were talking about the music that was in that TV show. And a lot of that music was music that I grew up with, that I listened to when I was her age. And I realized through this TV show, she's curating a library of my music. And she's enjoying it. So I finally broke down one day and I started watching that TV show. And I got interested in it pretty quick. As you can tell, after this point, I've just been going off of memory. To wrap up here, to make it fully impact, I did script it. So forgive me. You see, the TV show that my daughter was watching, it turned out to be Stranger Things. And at first, the 80s nostalgia and the kids screaming on their bicycles, I wasn't interested. To me, that image was just your stereotypical 80s TV show remake. The kind of thing that happened in just about every movie that was made in the 80s. Then I caught a glimpse of what was going on. The lab, the government vans, the falsely labeled Department of Energy vans. And I finally looked past that cliche 80s image and I realized that this show was and is an artistic interpretation of the rumors and allegations of the Montauk Project. The things that allegedly happened out at Camp Hero on Long Island. So suddenly I wasn't watching a TV show. I was seeing echoes of Cold War conspiracies and urban legends that I used to obsess over. Kind of things that my generation lived, if only in our own imaginations. I had found another entry point. Think about that for a second. You don't have to love the entire thing that your kid loves. You just have to find the part of it that makes sense in your brain. The conspiracy theories of the Montauk Project on my TV screen in an artistic interpretation reminded me of my childhood when those kinds of things ran rampant in my imagination and the things that me and my friends did. So think about this think about another example here. Say your son is obsessed with Fortnite or Minecraft. You probably see a screen and a headset and think it's a waste of time. But if you look closer, as he's playing Minecraft, or the Fortnite or the Roblox. He's doing structural engineering and resource management. He's building an electrical grid. That's the same logic that you use when you wire the trailer that you pull behind your pickup truck. If you talk to him about the grid instead of the game, you've found your entry point. Or maybe your daughter's obsessed with TikTok trends. And you see the dancing. But what if you look at his production? He's learning lighting, editing, how to hook an audience. That's marketing. That's a trade. You ask her how she cuts video to the beat. You're not talking about a silly app anymore. You're talking about craftsmanship. And when you find that link, the door doesn't just nudge open, it swings wide. My daughter and I ended up spending hours talking about the real Montauk project. And she was fascinated that her Kooky show had roots in actual history. She'd already done the research herself. I think the biggest fascination was the fact that I knew the things that she had already researched. So we weren't just watching a TV show. We weren't just talking about a TV show and the music in the TV show anymore. We were rebuilding that foundation that was starting to crumble. You've got to be a guest in their house. And it's even harder for those of you in blended families where you're the new guy coming into a house where the kids already have their own language, their own inside jokes, and their own favorite shows. It isn't easy. In that situation, you're like a contractor walking onto a job site where the blueprints were drawn by someone else. You can't just walk in and start swinging a sledgehammer, telling everyone this is how we will do things. If you do, you'll be met with a wall of reinforced concrete. The guys are not going to do what you need them to do. Same thing with your children. When I started asking my daughter questions about the upside down, which is quite fascinating if you're into the kind of things that I'm in, or why a certain character was acting a certain way, I wasn't being a parental authority. I was being a guest in her world. I showed her that I valued her taste enough to give it my time. It's about humility, guys. Being a role model doesn't mean being the guy with all the answers. It means being the guy with the most curiosity. You want them to eventually follow you into the garage to learn how to change a tire or teach them how to fix a leaky faucet. You have to be willing to follow them into their world first. You have to learn. You have to earn the right to lead by being willing to follow. So, I'm probably not going to look at the camera for this because I want to make sure I say everything that needs to be said. But we're going to do a dad audit. And I want you to get out a notebook, not your tablet, not your phone, pen and paper notebook. Because there's something about the friction of the pen against the paper that just makes it stick when you write it down. And by the way, we do have a Wrenching and Regrets Dad Audit Journal. Link will be in the description. if you want to help support this channel. First thing you want to do is identify the noise. Let's call it the honesty phase. I want you to write down 3 things your kid is into right now that you've been dismissing. And be brutally honest with yourself. Don't write down what you should feel. Write down what you honestly feel. For example, if you think your son's obsession with Japanese anime is weird and doesn't make sense, write that down. Get it out of your system and onto the paper. Then you'll move into the diagnostic phase. This is where you'll observe why. Why are they interested in these things? So for the next few days, maybe 3, be a fly on the wall. Don't offer opinions. Don't roll your eyes. Just watch them engage with that hobby. In your journal, write down why you think they like it. Does it give them a sense of control? Is it because they get to talk to their friends? Is it for the mystery factor, like in Stranger Things? You have to find the engine driving that interest, because you can't fix a car you haven't diagnosed. And then I want you to move into the alignment phase. This is where you'll find the hook. This is where you'll find your entry point. I want you to look at all those whys that you wrote down and find one connection to your own life. They like the competition of a game. Think about your days playing sports, or the win you feel when a project comes together. They like a story. Find a historical parallel. I mean, if I could find a way to connect a sci-fi show about monsters to the Montauk Project and government history, you can find a hook in what your kids like too. Write that hook down. Then you're going to move into the repair phase. You're going to start building that bridge. Write down one open-ended question for each kid. Don't ask things like, is it fun? Or are you almost done? You don't want to ask them simple yes or no answer questions. Ask them things like, how does that work? What's the hardest part about building that? What do you think happens to that character next? Write these questions down so you don't fumble it when the time comes. Then go ask it. No advice. No back in my day. No turning it into a lesson. Just listen until they're done talking. So again, I'm Greg. I've already made the mistakes, so you don't have to. The shop is always open. The coffee is always hot. And the work is never done. So get to it, and I'll see you on the next one.